of home heating oil. Electricity prices remain very high, gas prices remain high and are going up even higher. What the government is proposing is potentially going to be wiped out by next week. I mean, the latest news from the Middle East is that Israel, despite what Trump said the other day, Israel is bombing production facilities in Iran, which is going to deepen the crisis. It's going to mean that oil prices rise even higher. And so the government gives 20 cent on diesel, 15 cent on petrol tonight. That literally can be gone tomorrow. So this is an inadequate measure in terms of using the resources the government has to protect people from this deep cost of living crisis. We've been clear in terms of what the answer is. It's to give every household in the country a €500 energy credit, give people money immediately in their pockets to be funded by a special levy on the data centres who currently use more electricity than all the households in the country combined. It's to have targeted measures to an extra month of fuel allowance, double week of all social protection payments, and a special emergency payment of €400 for disabled people who are particularly targeted, particularly hit by the budget, and to have price controls to set a maximum price, as our bill does, of €1.75 a litre on petrol and diesel, of €1 a litre of home heating oil, of 25 cent in terms of energy of units of electricity, and 8 cent for gas. And that to be achieved by a mixture of ensuring that there is no profiteering, opening the books of the corporations to ensure that profiteering is not taking place, and reductions in excise duties and other taxes as appropriate to ensure that a supply can remain. A measure like that would give households certainty. It would give them security at this moment of crisis, as well as ensuring there's no profiteering taking place. I want to just mention two other issues very briefly. One, the fact that the impact of the council rent increases is now much worse given this new cost of living crisis. In Dublin City, they've hiked rents to the tune of about 30% for an average family. In Galway, they've hiked rents. In Fingal, they've hiked rents, and they're planning to do so in other councils, including South Dublin County Council. There's a very important protest which we're supporting, organised by CATU, this Saturday, 1 p.m. at Parnell Square, to say no to the council rent increases, to call for the existing ones to be reversed and other ones not to be implemented. And then finally, just in relation to a story that's front page of the Irish Times today, it is deeply concerning that it appears that Illumina, produced in Ireland, which has been protected by the government, effectively acting for an oligarch, is being used in part of the imperialist war of invasion and war on the people of Ukraine. It appears that Patrick O'Donovan misled the Dáil in saying that Ahanish Illumina, nothing there was part of a war machine, when precisely it appears that it was part of a war machine. They've lobbied repeatedly on behalf of an oligarch, and it really is quite ironic, because they often, in a deeply cynical way, accuse us of being in some way soft on Putin when we have a much stronger record against Putin than they do, but it appears that they've been representing the interests of a particular Russian oligarch, because capitalists, no matter where they come from, that's who the Irish government represents. So it's deeply concerning what's exposed there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think every day it becomes more and more evident that we have bloodthirsty warmongers in the form of the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of Israel, from whom literally anything is possible. So 1 minute, where, according to Trump, they're going to hit energy infrastructure. They're going to attack energy infrastructure in Iran. The next minute, they're not going to attack energy infrastructure in Iran. Then we hear reports that they've attacked energy infrastructure in Iran. They're talking to the Iranians, but the Iranians aren't aware of the conversation, right? So this is a level of sort of craziness emanating from the White House, and obviously with Netanyahu engaged in full-scale ethnic cleansing now of Lebanon, where anything is possible. And therefore, in that context, there's a number of things that are important to say here. First of all, in terms of the cost, ordinary people are suffering the economic cost of the warmongering and bloodthirstiness of Netanyahu and Trump, and the government needs to protect people and give them certainty. And the only proposal that is in existence to actually give certainty to people in regards of the spiking energy costs, electricity costs, gas costs, is the proposal being put forward by People Before Profit and Solidarity, which is to set maximum caps on all those areas of energy and fuel. And it's not unique to do that. It's been done in Croatia, for example, and in Hungary, right? So it can be done, and it would give certainty to do so. And we believe the government should do that, as well as obviously giving people the energy credit, which can assist the more than 300,000 people who are already in arrears, even before this particular spike in the cost of living crisis happened as a result of the Trump-Israeli war. But the other things I think we need to say, given the sort of the unhinged nature of the US-Israeli military offensive in the Middle East, is that under no circumstances should Shannon Airport continue to be allowed to be used by the US military. And there's no doubt that US military transport aircraft are going through Shannon. We believe that the Taoiseach's assurances that they're not involved in the war are absolutely worthless, given the fact they're not being searched. But even if, for example, all of the troops, equipment are going to Ramstein in Germany, it's clear that Ramstein has been used as a central European hub to prosecute the bloody war that they're waging in the Middle East. So that is complicity, and we believe that's outrageous. It's in breach of our neutrality, and we are demanding that we, respect Ireland's neutrality by refusing to allow the US military to use Shannon. But the other important thing to say is that Trump is goading the European Union and his, so-called allies in Europe to get involved in protecting the Straits of Hormuz. And if you look at what Ursula von der Leyen said yesterday in Australia, she said that they may consider doing this. Now, this has very important implications when you think about the triple lock, right? If the triple lock is dismantled and there is goading by Trump to get the Europeans involved in sending military forces down to the Straits of Hormuz, and Ireland dismantles the triple lock, we could see Irish troops being deployed to the Straits of Hormuz, which would be a very, very serious development in massive breach of our neutrality, and which would actually mean Irish troops being put in very serious danger because of the warmongering of the United States and its allies. So we just want to ring that alarm bell, that this is where this is going, because Trump is goading Europe to get involved, and Europe is considering getting involved, and our government is simultaneously looking to remove obstacles to the deployment of Irish troops in such military adventures, which would be a disaster for our troops, for this country, and obviously in massive breach of our neutrality.
If you need to go, that's grand. So just on the cost of living package that the government is talking about bringing in, firstly, it isn't clear how much this will benefit ordinary people as against benefiting haulier companies. That's not clear at all. Now we're seeing these colonial adventures of Trump and Western imperialism obviously killing many people, but also hitting ordinary people and working class people in their cost of living, something that this government has taken no vocal stance against. So just on some of the measures, I think obviously we will look and see what the government is bringing in. We haven't fully seen the resolution. But the kinds of things that we need are, as well as, energy credits to help people pay their bills, the ESB should be taken fully back into public ownership. Electricity is an absolute essential of life, and run on a not-for-profit basis as it used to be in decades past. We need price controls to stop the profiteering. At least 50% of the price increases that we're seeing are proven to be down to profiteering by companies. Free public transport. There's actually implications for reducing the cost of petrol and diesel. There should be free public transport introduced immediately. It would also be a very green measure, and it would assist so many working people in getting to work. The cost of disability payment, to help those who are hit most by the lack of action around the cost of living. So I think that what's been done is too little, too late. You know, the winter is past. Massive energy bill arrears have built up for tens of thousands of people, and the government has done nothing about it. The second issue I just want to raise is in relation to gender-based violence, and you know, obviously I welcome that FSRU is going to investigate sexual and gender-based violence within the Gardaí. I don't know that FSRU is the best institution to be doing that. But I'm going to be raising a number of cases this week in the Dáil, in Leaders' Questions and so on. People who've contacted me following the UCD case, and what we're seeing is that institutions are completely failing to hold, you know, perpetrators to account, that the complainant, usually the woman, is the person who ends up suffering as a result of making a complaint. There's absolutely no incentive. The procedures that all of the institutions, the Gardaí, paramedics and so on, are just not fit for purpose. They are not protecting women from sexual harassment. So I'm going to be raising the case of a Garda who's contacted me. She's out on sick leave while the perpetrator of the sexual harassment against her is working away with other women. I'm going to be raising the case of the woman who was sexually assaulted and drugged by a paramedic, who, despite being under investigation for rape, has just been promoted in the National Ambulance Service. That's absolutely disgusting and disgraceful, because they would have been aware that he's been investigated and they should have waited until the outcome of that. And several other women have come forward there. It's really, you know, dangerous to think that a paramedic has access to drugs and could use that against really vulnerable people, you know, disabled people, women, people at the scene of a car accident. That they have the potential to do that is really worrying, and yet they've operated like this for many years. So we need a massive sea change in how these issues are dealt with, and of course I'll be continuing to raise the case of the UCD medical student as well.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem at all.
Sorry about that.